Hello, it's Jess. Welcome back to my channel and welcome to the final week of the magical readathon. Even though this is supposed to be like the fall semester and we do it in August, I'm always so thankful that the second magical readathon happens in August because I hate summer. It is my least favorite season. The magical readathon always helps that last chunk of summer to pass by faster, and it gets me in the mood for fall. And pumpkin is coming out this week, so very excited about that. We're definitely gonna go get some pumpkin cold brew this week. Welcome to the vlog. Welcome to the last week at Aurelium for the year. I'm trying to make this intro pretty quick because I gotta go stream. I am very addicted to Baldur's Gate. It is an amazing game. If you've seen my weeks 1 through 3 vlogs, you know that I have finished all of my classes except for one. For my very first alchemy spell, I am reading An Unkindness of Magicians, but it is my book club book for this month, so I have been holding off on finishing it until my book club has a chance to talk about last week's section. I'm gonna start this week off with An Unkindness of Magicians. I have 80-ish pages left in that book, and then I will complete that, and I will have also finished all of my classes. Welcome to the vlog. I'm gonna go play video games now, and I will probably read that as soon as I finish stream and then check in tomorrow. I'm done with my classes. I have finished An Unkindness of Magicians, and this was the last book that I needed for my alchemy class. Overall, it's very fine. It's entertaining to read and you get through it really fast, but it's just fine. I have talked a lot about this book in the week 1 and week 2 vlogs, so I'm gonna try to keep this relatively short, but this is basically a magical tournament to try to see who is going to rule the magical underground. I think overall I'm just gonna give it a 2-star. I didn't dislike this book, even though I am giving it a 2-star. There's nothing really wrong with the plot or the writing, but I also don't think that they're anything special or crazy. There's nothing to write home about. They're pretty basic, but the characters, while I like them, well, some of them, there isn't really enough time in the book for any character development, and they do kind of come off a little flat and static. It's not that they don't have any characteristics or defining features, it's just that there's no development of them at all. And then on top of that, the book is pretty anticlimactic, and so it ends up being pretty unsatisfying, even though I was entertained while reading this. And I definitely would not discourage anybody from picking up this book if you want to. I just don't feel objectively that the enjoyment that I got out of it can move it higher than a 2, because I just don't really think there's much substance to this book. I'm honestly probably never gonna think about this book again after this update, to be honest. I'm gonna put it on my shelf and it's just gonna sit there. It's really hard to talk about a book when you don't want to spoil anything, but also there's really no substance to the book. I can't really praise anything in the book other than just the fact that it's entertaining, because that's it. Since my classes are done now, I am going to work on summoning my impling. For that, I have 2 books that I need to read. I'm going to read Cytonic by Brandon Sanderson and The Adventures of Elmina Al-Sarafi by Shannon Chakraborty. Honestly, it's a little bit silly of me to pick Amina because of how big she is, but I desperately want to read this book. So we're gonna do it. I do think I'm gonna start with Cytonic, mainly because I'm a little hesitant about this book. I actually tried to read this in the April semester and I could not get into it in the first chapter, so I ended up putting it down. So I'm hoping that this time around I can get into it and I will enjoy it and I will read it. There's my reading update for now. I will talk to you later. Hello. Yes, you saw correctly. I went to Barnes. I went specifically so that I could pick up the Water Outlaws because it's released now, but they did not have it. So then I went and I was like, okay, maybe they'll have a copy of Shady Hollow, which is a cozy mystery, and I'm going to visit my sister in October, and we decided that like we're gonna read Shady Hollow together while I'm there. So I was like, okay, well, they don't have the Water Outlaws. Let me go see if they have Shady Hollow. And they did not. So for some reason, I picked up East of Eden by John Steinbeck. Yep. I I don't know what to tell you. I this is so unexpected, but I've just been really craving reading classics lately. Like, I don't know what to tell you. I just really want to be in my classics era, and now I have East of Eden. In other news, I'm just over halfway through Cytonic. I just finished part 3, so I'm about to start part 4. Cytonic is the third full-length novel in the Skyward series, but it is the fifth, like, part of the story because there are 2 novellas that you read between Starsight and Cytonic. I'm enjoying myself so far. This is a series that follows Spensa, and she is living with like the last remaining humans. So basically, hundreds of years ago, there was this like intergalactic war, and the human population has been almost completely decimated. Spensa is now living on this planet called Detritus, where basically a massive like starship of humanity crashed on that planet, and they've just been living there ever since. The humans on that planet are under constant attack from this alien species, and they're basically always just fighting for survival. And as a result, the human like civilization that has evolved in like the hundreds of years they've been like stranded on this planet, it is very militaristic as just a means of survival. Spensa desperately wants to be a pilot for their military force. Her father was a pilot, but something happened when her father was in combat, and he basically like turned tail and like dipped out. And because of that, everyone like branded him a coward, which is like in this civilization, because of how militaristic they are, being called a coward is like the biggest insult possible. And people are like, oh, well, she can't be in the military either because like she's gonna be just like her father. She's gonna be a coward too. That's the premise of book 1 in this series. I mean, you know, it is a young adult series, so you can kind of infer based off of the synopsis of book 1 that like Spensa does in fact make it into flight school to be trained as a pilot. I can't really talk anymore about Skyward or Starsight, which are like the first 2 novels in the series. series, but I will say that Cytonic is kind of like a side quest book, and Spensa is in a location that will remain unnamed. Spensa is kind of training an ability that she has that I also won't talk about in any specifics, but this whole book is kind of like feels like a side quest. Obviously the stakes are very high because like the end goal for Spensa is to train up this ability that she has and then use it to help like the remnants of the human population. But while she is in this place, the stakes of this specific book definitely feel much lighter than the rest of the series. This kind of feels like a break from how heavy the rest of the series is. I am enjoying this book, but I am having a hard time staying connected to the story. I mean, Spensa is a great character, and the character development that she goes through in each of the books, including this one, is fantastic. I think it's so well written, but at the same time, I do have a hard time personally connecting with Spensa. I don't always need to be connected to characters to love a story, but I think in this case, the lack of connection that I feel to Spensa is hindering my ability to stay focused and connected to the book overall. And while the side quest that Spensa is on is extremely important, at the same time, the overall levity of the book and the lower stakes kind of makes this book feel a little silly when you consider like the grand scheme of what's going on in like the outside world. And again, like it's important. Spensa needs to do this in order to help her people, but it's kind of one of those things where it does feel a little bit like you're wasting time. I think I need to take a break from Cytonic, so I decided that it's going to be a really, really short break, and I'm going to pick up Night of the Mannequins by Stephen Graham Jones. This is the next book that I need to read for the alchemy side quest. So this is like really short. I think it's like 150 pages, something like that. So honestly, I'm going to go sit down and read this, and I will talk to you in a couple hours when I have finished it. So later. Okay, hi. It is like 2 hours later. I finished Night of the Mannequins. It was just a silly, fun, scary little time. This book follows this friend group who want to go play a prank on one of their friends who works at a movie theater. So they take this mannequin and they go like put it in a seat in the theater and like play a prank on their friends. And then basically the prank doesn't go exactly how it's supposed to, and like the mannequin comes to life. That's really all I can say because this book is so short. And you know, I think I'm gonna give it like a 3 stars overall. This book is fun and intriguing, and I did really like the premise of this, and like thematically I was very interested the whole time with this book. It is very rare for me to give a 5-star to a novella. It's just hard for me because I usually feel like there's just not a lot of substance. And I mean, that is how I feel about this. I don't want you to think like it's bad or anything, because it's not. Like, I had a good time. It was fun. It definitely accomplished what it was intending to do. But it's like, how do you provide like substance or anything when like it's less than 150 pages? Mapping the Interior is another novella that Stephen Graham Jones wrote, and I actually did give that one 5 stars and like still think about it sometimes, about like how amazing it was and how like concise and how I actually got legitimately scared at certain points in that novella. This one is very, very different thematically. This one is meant to be silly, goofy, slasher, campy, but Stephen Graham Jones remains a favorite author, and I do want to read more of his backlist. So honestly, I need to buy more books from him because now I don't have anything left on my shelves unread by him. So, that's good. Excuses to buy more books. Overall, this book is a good time. There's just like not really much to it. It's 3 stars, and I successfully found the thing that I was searching for. So I am not sure, but I believe I only have one part of the alchemy side quest left. I think I'm gonna go try to finish Cytonic. I don't know if I'm gonna be able to finish it today or not, but I will check in when that book is finished. Good morning. I have finished Cytonic. This is so exciting. I'm halfway to summoning my impling now. I gotta say, overall, I really enjoyed this. I think the second half of this book, like, really stepped it up and kind of changed my perspective overall on the book. If I was rating like parts 1 through 3, I would have given it 3 stars, but if I was rating just from part 4 on, I think I would rate it like a 4.5. The second half was really good. My thoughts from what I said in the last update didn't change too much overall, but I definitely got super into the second half of the book, even though I wouldn't say that I'm very connected to Spensa overall. The second half of the book, like, the plot just really picked up. It got me. I was into it. I was really enjoying it. And I also love the character development in this book. Spensa has been through it. Like, really truly, she has a lot on her plate, and even though I don't necessarily connect on a personal level to her, I love the way she is written, and I absolutely love the growth from like page 1 of the first book all the way till now. I love the inner discussions that Spensa has with herself of her own personal journey, her own personal goals, her own personal like wants and desires, juxtaposed with like the obligation she feels for like her people and her friends and society as a whole. The questions that she asks herself about, is she being selfish? Is she being a coward? What is her duty really asking of her? And what is necessarily the right choice morally and ethically in this situation? In general, I really like when books explore the individual versus collective thematically. I find those discussions really, really interesting, and I was super, super engaged in the second half of this book. So I think on Goodreads, I'm gonna end up like rating this 3 stars, but it really was more of like a 3.5. I just feel like because of the disconnect and how hard it was for me to get into the first half of the book, and also how I did feel like the first half was kind of like wasting our time a little bit. Like it was necessary. It wasn't wasting our time. It was necessary, but at the same time it kind of felt like it was wasting our time. So even though this book does fall higher than a 3-star, because of that, I think on Goodreads I am gonna just like mark it as a 3-star. The ending of this is so great, and it got me like so hyped to read Defiant when that comes out at the end of the year. I can't remember when it comes out, but I'm so excited for this. Okay, there's a reading update for you. I'm halfway to summoning my impling, so next up on the list, I'm gonna go read The Adventures of Amina Al-Sarafi, which is one of my most anticipated books of the year. And I'm so excited. I have really, really high expectations, so I hope it doesn't let me down. I've heard some mixed reviews, so we'll see. Hi, good morning. I did it. Oh my gosh, I cannot believe I am cutting this so very close. There's literally 3 hours left in the readathon, but I did it. I finished The Adventures of Amina Al-Sarafi. Sorry there were no mid-book updates for this. Honestly, I've just been super busy, and I've been trying to get this book finished before the readathon ended, and I did it. I successfully finished all of my classes, and I summoned my impling. This has been the most successful magical readathon for me personally ever. It's been so good. Holy shit. Amina Al-Sarafi is freaking fantastic. I literally don't understand the people that don't like this book. Like, I don't get it. I don't get it. It is so fun. It is so entertaining. It is so engaging. I didn't want to put this down. This book is told like with a specific voice. It is told using Amina Al-Sarafi's like individual voice, like her character voice. So I do understand that like the narration style is not going to be for everybody, and I mean, if you don't like it, you're wrong, but like it's understandable that it doesn't work for everybody. So I do get that, but other than that, like I literally don't understand if people don't like this book. I think it's so excellent. If you're unaware, The Adventures of Amina Al-Sarafi follows Amina Al-Sarafi, who at one point was a pirate, and she has since retired, but one of her old crewmates who has passed away, the crewmate's mother hunts down Amina Al-Sarafi and is like, hey, my granddaughter, your old crewmate's daughter, has been kidnapped, and I need you to go find her because nobody else can do anything to help me. And also, I'm gonna pay you an absurd amount of money. And Amina is like, okay, it's time for one last adventure. She gets like part of the old crew back together, and they set off. This book truly is an adventure story. I love Amina as a character. I love that everyone in her crew is now like middle-aged, and Amina's like, God damn it, my knee is killing me today. And just like silly things like that. I love that Amina is a mother, and like honestly, I just really love like quest style adventure stories. I also love that like every time we think we have a grasp on like what's going on in the book, like just another curveball gets thrown at you, and like the story of like the granddaughter who's been kidnapped, like every time we uncover like the next part of the story of like getting her back, every single time it becomes more and more complicated at the next step, and like something bad is gonna happen. I mean, it's not a good time for the characters, but like it's a very good time for the reader. And I don't know, I just really liked this. I think I'm gonna mark this on Goodreads as a full 5-star because I genuinely don't understand people rating it lowly. Intellectually, I understand that for every book there will be people that like just really hate it. But at the same time, I don't understand people rating this lowly. Like, I don't get what you don't like about this book. I really do not understand it. It's so good. Realistically, I think this book probably is like a 4.5, but I'm giving it the 5 stars on Goodreads because like, I just want people to read it. I did, however, want to mention, like, while I am giving a glowing review of this book and saying how fun it is, all of that is true, but I did want to mention that there are a couple descriptions in here which, in my opinion, branch into like the horror genre, and it is not a lot, and it is not like overly gory. It's more just like disgusting and gruesome, and it just has to do with like some of the fantastical creatures. And we'll leave it at that. I did want to mention that before people pick this up, that like there are some things that are kind of gross in here, but still overall, like, it's so fun. It's so good. I love Amina. Like, I love her crew. It's a good time. So yeah, that brings us to the end of the magical readathon. It has been such a phenomenal month for me for reading. I really truly felt like I experienced so much joy reading this month, and it's just been an amazing, wonderful time. Thank you so much for being here with me this month. Thank you for spending time with me, for hanging out with me today. I really appreciate that. If you enjoyed these magical readathon vlogs, please consider subscribing. Stay safe this week and go get yourself a little pumpkin treat because we are almost out of the worst portion of the year into the best portion of the year. And I will see you in my next video. Goodbye!